Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janice Miro. I am the founder of Janice Inspiring Change Holistic Nutrition, and I am here to talk with Andreé-Anne. Welcome, Andreé-Anne.
Thank you.
I just want to say before we get started that I have been doing these weekly interviews since the first of the year. I thought back in the end of last year, how can I help bring some health awareness to my viewers, my followers? And I thought, what better way to do that than to invite people who practice differently than I do, people from all different types of holistic modalities, and invite them to come along and join me in a conversation about health and what they do to inspire change in people. So this is episode 28. And like I said, my guest is Andreé-Anne Bedard. She is from Quebec. And I've met her briefly. She lives in Wolfville here in the beautiful Annapolis Valley. And or maybe you don't live right in Wolfville, you work in Wolfville.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. So so welcome again, Andreé-Anne. Thank you so much for joining me. And I just love your background there. You're at your office, I guess.
I am, yes. Yeah.
And you have picked some nice flowers there to perk your space up. It looks very, very nice.
Thank you. Yes, I like to be in good companies. Bring flowers every time I can.
Yeah. Yes, and it is the time of the year where we can do that, which is, it's been so lovely. The weather's been so great, and it's so nice to get out and get some sun and get some fresh air, and it's really good for us to be doing that. So I really don't know really very much about what you do, and I'm going to find out today by asking you some questions. And I want to connect too. I want to make sure that our viewers have the opportunity to maybe pipe in and ask some questions. So I'm just going to find us here, my phone, so we can be live here with the volume down. And if anyone has any questions, then they can pop on and ask. So let me see where that is. So there we go. I have found it. So if anybody has any questions, they can jot them in the comments. And we have a few people watching us already, which is great. So you're a clinical herbalist, and so tell me why you got into this type of work, this line of work. What brought you to study herbology?
It's a good question. I've attempted to answer that question a few times and notice how every time I answer it, it looks a bit different. And I think the reason for it is that herbalism comes as the intersection of many interests that I've been cultivating through my life. So from a young age, I had a special connection with the plants. I grew up in a suburb of Sherbrooke in the Eastern Township in Quebec, not surrounded by old growth forest or anything like that, but there were little patches of forest here and there, and the plants from the lawn and the edges. And I always had a lot of curiosity, I guess, towards the plant world. Like some other children might have interest in rocks or insects or animals. So for me, yeah, it was the plants. And quite early on, I became curious to learn their names. And I was a bit of a nerd growing up. Some people will say I'm still a bit of a nerd. I would have a hard time arguing against that. But I was a bookworm, and I loved going to the library. And I found this amazing collection of books, the Fleurbeck identification guides. And those books had been created by a collective of biologists and naturalists, and and plant lovers who wanted to make plant identification accessible to the public. So I started reading these books, and the way that the plants were presented in these books, you could feel the love for the plants from the authors, but also the reverence to the plant for the plants and their intricacies and their just their beautiful complex lives. So it's in these books that I learned how trillium seeds need to be digested by ants in order to be able to sprout and produce further trillium, and how it will take 17 years for a single flower to emerge. And these are the kind of pieces of information, of knowledge, that helped me build my own reverence to the plant world and my own appreciation of their presence. So it's not necessarily plant medicine that attracted me as much as the plants themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the kind of passion that will fuel your curiosity for a whole life, right? And yeah, so it's started early for me, and it's still a growing passion, the plant world. I also have been interested in medicine for a long time. And my mom is a respiratory therapist, and was always bringing home little bits and pieces of her experience in the hospital, and certain cases that she saw that were different or just interesting and quirky. And I was always quite keen on listening to her stories. When I was a teenager, my grandfather was diagnosed with cancer, and a way of coping for me with the stress that was present due to that situation, a coping mechanism for me was to learn as much as I could about cancer, about the physiopathology, the history of cancer, how it's been treated in past era to the present, and all of those, again, those pieces of information that just help build some security, I guess, in my world. And from there, the field of medicine has always been of interest to me.
You can certainly see your passion when it comes to, as soon as you started answering, you're very passionate about what you do.
Yeah, and I'm so lucky to be doing what I love on a daily basis like this. Sometimes I pinch myself. It feels surreal to be able to practice herbal medicine like I do right now. It comes with a lot of work. This commitment is definitely demanding at many levels, but it's what I love. Yeah, clearly.
Wow.
So to make a leap, to make a long story short, and to avoid some detours, when I was pregnant with our first child, I started studying herbal medicine as a project, something to do. We had just moved to the land in Baxter's Harbor, where we still live, about 20 minutes from Wolfville, on the North Mountain here by the Bay of Fundy.
Right.
We got a piece of land and lived off the grid for a few years and immersed ourselves in that life. It was like an adventure. I had traveled a lot in the years previous, and now having a child and settling in with my husband, we just wanted something exciting, I guess, to do with our lives at that fertile time of our journey. So we settled in Baxter's Harbor. I started studying herbal medicine, got to experience a lot, with plants preparation and transformation. I used my family and neighbors and friends as guinea pigs for years, for better or worse. And then life went on. I did 3 years of study, graduated as a traditional herbalist, and just paused the studies while dealing with other aspects of life that were demanding of my attention at the time. And life just kept on unfolding for 10 years. Our son is now 11.
Oh, wow.
And yes, yeah. And I started working at EOS Natural Foods, a health food store here in town in Wolfville. And while brewing, what's the next step? What's coming next for me? And I did a lot of soul searching in that period of time. Actually applied to medical school, thinking that maybe this was the path ahead. And yeah, I needed a project. I needed something new I was ready for some challenge. I felt that deeply. After ongoing a bunch of challenge in our own lives, I was ready for something new. And it's laying in bed with Noah one night. He had just fallen asleep, and in that special time of night where, you know, the peepers are singing, the night is just starting to rise, I had this intuition, which is, I don't like to speak too woo-woo, anything like that, but it happens, these things happens. And I felt that my path right now was to commit to plant medicine. To commit to the teachings of the plants that I had received, and to pursue that trajectory, at least for a period of time. So the day right after, I called my director, called the school, told them things like they were, where I was at in life, and I decided to take an extra year to become a practitioner, to become a clinical herbalist.
Okay.
And I graduated about a year ago from that program. I needed a lot of kick in the keister to keep on moving and to be brave enough to start my own practice. As you know, it is challenging to put yourself out there, but I'm so glad I did. So I started practicing last August.
Yeah, perfect. So so now you've been practicing for a year, although you practiced unofficially on yourself and your family and the neighbors and maybe a couple of pets, I don't know.
Yes.
But, yeah, that's okay. But so what has been, since you've been working for a year now and you are seeing clients on a regular basis in Wolfville, so who are your clients? Who is it that you help? And I guess maybe the second part of that, or is, why do people go see you? Like what would be a reason for someone to go see you? I'd like to know more about who your clients are and why they are going to see you.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, as you may know as well, in Canada, where our healthcare is public, our healthcare system is public, the complementary sector, which we are part of, we tend to see people who've exhausted their options in the public system. So it's not exclusively the clients that I see, but I would say it's the majority. The majority of the people I see, they've just exhausted their options. They want to feel better. They are very open to trying new things. Most people are quite committed to their health journey, which is wonderful because it takes that.
Yes.
Herbal medicine won't give you a magic pill to, you know, it's not magic. You need to work with it and be ready to work with what's going to come up out of these interactions that you'll have with plant beings, with whole beings. It can be challenging sometimes. So in a way, it's maybe good that people who come are desperate enough to really try it. But I also
not that you want to be someone's last resort, but that's often the way it is in our business. Yeah,
it is. So I see that definitely. I also see there is a good chunk of my clientele that is composed of people who are actively investing in their well-being and their health, and who had a previous connection with plant medicine. They have been introduced already to what it means to working with plants, I guess. And yeah. And then there are a few people as well who just heard about me. They're curious to see whether or not we can do something together. Yeah, I see a lot of endocrinian disruption, a lot of people with reproductive issues as well. Mostly women are composing my clientele. Although I see more and more men recently, it's just like that. Yeah, a lot of digestive issues, a lot of digestive issues, actually. It seems to be a recurrent theme.
It's interesting you mentioned that digestion, because so many people have poor digestion, and in my opinion, that is going to lead to bigger problems. And we tend to, when we have maybe a little bit of heartburn, or where our stomach gets upset, or we have, we've got constipation or diarrhea, we kind of put it off, or get some type of pill for it, and it doesn't take the symptom away, or it takes the symptom away, but it doesn't get to the root cause. And over a period of time, what can happen is that can manifest into something more and more serious. And when there's no answers being given, then, like you say, people might go to you when they've exhausted all their possibilities. They can't find a solution for their problems, and they're looking for an alternative route. So so I don't know, I've seen your office, and I know you have, some jars of this, that, and the other, but so when someone comes to you, let's say for a particular problem like digestive issues, what does an appointment look like? Because I'm sure there's people who are listening today. And by the way, I'll just mention again, I'm talking with Andreé-Anne Bedard, and she's a clinical herbalist. And so what would an appointment be like? Is there an intake form that the client fills out? And then how do you create, what herbs or product is it that you would then suggest and give to your client? What does an appointment look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there is an intake form to fill for full case intake. So there are different ways to see me. Most of my clients are full case intake. So we look at the full picture and develop a constitutional assessment and then work from there. There is also the option of doing acute consultation for, someone who has an ulcer and just need like a herbal plaster to help mature the ulcer and so on. We may then do a full case intake to understand the tissue state or the terrain that allowed for this ulcer to rise or to be chronic if it's the case, etc. But let's say for a full case intake, I have an opening questionnaire that my client will be invited to fill prior to our appointment, so I can study it properly, look at any medication, and do all the considerations for plant medication interactions. There's not easily available literature on the topic, so it's one topic where I need to invest time in researching appropriately. And then when we meet in person, we'll go over a few of those questions that were present in the questionnaire, maybe go more in depth on certain topics. What I am most interested in getting to know is the constitution of that person and the imbalances or excesses or deficiencies that may be present within that constitution. So with questions about symptoms, I can get some pretty good hints in that. But I will also look at the eyes and look at the tongue, which is so fascinating. And outside of COVID times, when we can see in person and it's safe enough, I will also do a pulse analysis. I will look at the person, the person's skin, the hair, the nails. The nails are very telling in some cases as well. So I'm trying to get a full picture of the tissue state. So either there is heat or dampness or stagnation or dryness in the tissues. Because we can use the same language and translate it to plants. For example, lemon balm here that I was rubbing this morning to try to wake me up in the fog. I was feeling a bit foggy myself, so I was smelling lemon balm. Well, this plant is a hot and dry herb. So it's a plant that has a lot of volatile oil that is drying to taste. Its action on the body is also drying. It gives that tone, that sharpness of the senses. The aromatic oils present in the plant are stimulating and relaxing. Just like when we scratch our heads, it stimulates the area, but then relax the tissue. So every plant we look at has qualities that are describable in energetic terms.
Interesting.
And we can then match that with the presentation of the person and found good compatibilities. Yeah.
Wow. So then you would be looking at picking several things from your toolkit of herbs to create. Do you dispense it as when I think of herbs, I think of something that's at the grocery store, some chopped parsley or whatever. The herbs are dried, and then that's how you buy them. So do you dispense your herbs in that form, or are they put in a liquid tincture? What do they look like, or is it different for each person?
It is different for each person, and it's also different for each plant. So depending on the nature of the plant and the components in the plants that we're interested in working with, different preparation may be more appropriate. Sometimes it's also like with lemon balm, having it in tea or having it in a tincture, let's say for seasonal affective disorder, it would be part of a blend most likely, but the plant will be just as effective in aromatherapy, in tea, or in tincture. So in that case, knowing that it's fairly equivalent in one preparation or the other, I will discuss with my client what's most suitable for that person to be compliant to. That's definitely a challenge. So we want to make it easy. My favorite mode of delivery, let's say if the properties of the plants are equal, either in tea, in tincture, in glycerite, and oil, my favorite is definitely tea. I love tasting the herbs. I love feeling their texture as they infuse. I'm drinking angelica root here and rose and licorice, and as the tea is infusing, the licorice is getting thicker, and you can feel that on your tongue. I think that these qualities by reflex actions might have more of an impact in our body than we realize. We're just starting to understand the effect of taste on our overall physiology. The bitter taste has been well studied. The mucilaginous taste has been studied a little bit as well. And I think that in the years and decades to come, we'll understand that better. Traditional medicine, herbal medicine is also mostly, is also using a lot of teas. Remedies.
Someone is asking, Linda is asking, is there herbal tea? So what you're saying is that in some cases, the suggested or the product, the herb that you are recommending, the potency can be enough in a tea to get the result that you're looking for.
Absolutely. If the herb is well matched to the person, yes, it's pretty stunning what we can do just with tea. Yeah, yeah, even in severe presentations. Yeah, it depends. Sometimes the tincture is more appropriate, but when working with digestive complaints, um, it's surprising what you can do with tea. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, just, my aunt, she's my great aunt, she's 92 years old and she's amazing. And she had been taking some stomach pills and she didn't really want to take them anymore. So she started drinking ginger tea. And it has resolved her issues. She drinks it faithfully, and she rarely has any issues anymore. Um,
yeah.
uh, Linda's asking about pine needle tea. I'm not sure what it's for. You probably know what that's all about.
Yeah, pine needle tea is lovely. So the resin from the conifers won't be extracted as much in a tea, but you'll tap into the nice volatile oils from the tea, from the pine. It's a beautiful tea to drink. I like to put pine needles on a pot of water on our stove, a wood stove in the winter, and they're nice. It's not antimicrobial, that's not the right term, but they're the volatile oils, they help to stabilize the microbial growth, or to reduce microbial growth. So it can be really nice to have in the winter, to just breathe the fumes from hot water. And then pine needle is even better. If you smell it as well, you hydrate your airways, and in keeping your airways hydrated, you prevent the penetration of pathogens. So just the action of drinking tea is very healthy, just the hot water from the tea. And then
Right.
the pine needles, they will help to stimulate microcirculation in there. And it's yeah, it's
Mhm.
good.
And it's very relaxing and soothing just to sit down. I mean, so many people just they don't take a minute to sit and just enjoy a cup of tea, to sit and contemplate and relax and take in all the smells and the warmth of the cup and the warmth of your hand on the cup. I know in the wintertime I make tea sometimes just to keep my hands warm.
Yeah, I had a teacher who said, if you have clients who say that they don't have time to make tea, they are the ones who need to sit down and have tea.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Um, I like the comment that you made about you look at clients. You say sometimes you will help people with an acute condition, but as a rule you look at the whole package. And I feel that, like you said, the constitution of the person. And I think that is so important, to look at the whole picture, because the body systems are not separate. They are identified as separate, but everything is connected, and everything, what's happening over here affects what's happening over there. So it's so important to find out exactly what's going on in the full body, in the whole body, and in the mind. And then I think you can make a better call on what you might choose for that client. Is that what you do, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and what's happening in this person's life at the moment as well might be relevant. The relationship that they are entertaining, how meaningful that is or not, their ability to exercise, the community they live in, the season we are in might affect the kind of treatment we'll propose as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Um, so, and I know that this is a question that is harder to answer, but um, what is, maybe this is a good way to ask it. How quickly would someone see results for once they get a prescription from you? What is kind of normal? Is there a normal time frame? And how, if you can share some kind of story of someone who was, you know those desperate clients, a desperate client who saw some type of result, and what, I mean, I don't need to know too much detail, but what is it that a person could perhaps expect?
Yeah, that's a good question, and as you say, not an easy one to answer, uniformly. So in more complex cases, I I like to I like to work on two level at the same time. I'll discuss with my client what are their health goals and their priorities, and then we'll make a plan together. Generally, we'll try to address the most annoying symptoms more quickly. And sometimes, and yeah, sometimes, not always, but quite often we'll see results quite quickly for the remediation of these more acute symptoms. To treat the underlying cause might take more time. Firstly, because we might need to adjust as we go, as things shift. We do closer follow-up to start with, in more complicated case, or sometimes in just cases that need like more in-depth work. And we'll see how the tongue has changed, how the person is feeling, how their digestion might have shifted, and then we'll adjust. And the underlying cause may take a little longer to treat. So yeah, I like to work at these two levels at the same time, getting rid of some harder symptoms to deal with, and then working on the terrain. I'm saying that with a case in mind, where someone came and saw me for an endocrine disruption that she was experiencing. And it was accompanied by some digestive symptoms. She needed to go to the bathroom like 8 times a day. And it was not an IBS, it was a post like worm infection syndrome that had arisen in her, and that was very difficult to resolve because of other underlying cause and stress and a whole kind of situation like that. So we worked right away with some worming aromatic herbs that astringed the intestine and allowed for her to keep herbals in and fully eliminate when she needed to. And her symptoms were taken care of within a few days. And that gave her the availability, the hope that she needed to then go and work more in depth on her other symptoms. And
It's amazing what can happen. It's amazing what can happen in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So what, I don't see any more questions, but we do have some people on with us today. And interestingly enough, as I look at our online, every word we're saying is being recorded. It's like there's a teleprompter there, or it's recording, it's typing out our words. Very bizarre. I've never seen that before. I guess
it makes sense of my English.
a new, yeah, that's what it's doing. Anyway, so we've been talking for over a half hour now. It's crazy, isn't it? I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people don't know about what herbology is all about, and some people might not really think that it is very effective, but can you share with us some common maybe questions you've had from people, some common things that some myths about your profession that maybe you have faced when you've been studying or in your conversations with people, or out in public, wherever you're sharing your information? Is there some common myths that you would like to kind of debunk, as we say?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, first, we're not all hippies. I can see that. Even though if you come to a herbal gathering, there will be, yeah, there will be lots of hippie looking people. But yeah, no, we the field of herbal medicine is very lively and is filled with bright minds and researchers around the world. It's you'll hear about it if you haven't heard about it yet. It's making its way into more of a mainstream kind of way of looking at health and medicine. So it's a branch of naturopathy, but it's practiced differently. So in the herbal medicine that I practice, a traditional herbal medicine, I work with whole plant medicine. I work with the theory of vitalism, this idea that by supporting the innate process of the human beings, the innate process that are taking place in our body, we get better result than by pushing physiology in one direction or the other. And that's the job of of modern medicine, of the kind of medicine we think of that is practiced in the public healthcare system. And they do that very well, and we're grateful for those gifts. The role of herbal medicine is complementary to that of conventional medicine, and really supporting this vital force. One thing that I hear a lot from my clients is, oh my gosh, like I just have so much energy. Like I just feel alive again. I didn't even realize I was so tired, or that I was so stressed, and my libido is back. And these are outcomes that we didn't plan in our healing protocol, or it was not a health goal specifically, but it comes with it because plants and people have been interacting together since the beginning of time. We are who we are because of those interactions. We wouldn't have a liver if we didn't try eating plants with flavonoids. We literally developed our DNA around our interactions with the world around and inside us. And by reweaving these connections, by increasing the biodiversity with which we interacting with plant medicine, for example, we can feed that vital force within. Yeah, and it may help us redefine what we think of as being healthy as well. Yeah, what was the question? So myths. Yeah, so the myth that herbal medicine is little medicine, it doesn't really work. It's chamomile tea. Chamomile is a fantastic herb, by the way. But it's also because we think about it in conventional medicine term often. If we try to use an anti-inflammatory plant in the way we will use steroid, we'll be disappointed and we'll think that plant medicine doesn't work. That's not how it's a different paradigm in which we need to position ourselves to understand how it works and what it does. Chamomile can be really powerful when used at the right time for the right person. When the match is good, it is really powerful. Right. Yeah, and I speak from personal experience, and I see these little miracles happening under my eyes every week, and I am challenged in realizing, oh, how come I doubted that this will happen? Of course it will. So yeah.
And to see the progress in your clients, I find that just I'm overjoyed when I see the progress in my clients, and it just makes me want to continue helping people. And I'm sure you feel the same way. I have a question here. Hi, Karen. Karen's asking a question. Are there any herbs you can recommend as beneficial to any adult, like tulsi, wintergreen, or anything like that?
Yeah, well, these are beautiful examples, the tulsi, the wintergreen. In tea form, there are several plants that are absolutely fine for any or most adults. And I will say, for example, Tulsi, most people love the taste of Tulsi. It is a wonderful herb, a wonderful tonic for most of us. I have seen a few people who didn't like its taste. And in that case, just don't take it. Find another one that you like. Chamomile is a plant like that as well. It's compatible with most, constitution, lemon balm, the catnip is beautiful like that. Rooibos is great, powerhouse of antioxidant. Neutral, energetic. I like to think of plants that we can use in foods as well, like that, like the kind of herbs that are very safe and useful for all of us. There's nettles, or medicinal mushroom, or burdock in broth or in saute. A lot of our garden weeds are fantastic and suitable for all of us, really.
Let me ask you, you just said our garden herbs. You know, dandelions are everywhere right now. And I've had an opportunity to eat them, not here from my own lawn, but I did have them before when I was visiting my brothers in Montreal, and had a tea with them, and then chopped the leaves up and ate that in a salad. So what is the benefit of the dandelion tea?
So the dandelion leaves in food are fantastic. They have a bitter taste that we get accustomed to, you know, so you can start with a leaf, and then the day after you can eat 2 or 3 and develop your affinity with that taste. So as food, they are filled with nutrients, and they help to decongest our kidneys. So they are a gentle diuretic, but they bring so much mineral to our bodies that they are not a depleting diuretic. They are very rich in potassium, for example. So in food, you can just use them raw. I like to make pesto out of them, and then I add a little bit to soups, to a stir fry, to, you know, to pastas or whatever you're making. You can integrate them to that. They're really nice saute as well with a bit of lemon juice. Often these herbs that are bitter, when they're combined with an acid, they are more balanced in their taste, a bit more palatable.
There you go, guys. Before you dig, you know, you put all kinds of poison on your lawns. Consider maybe having some lunch from your lawn. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is another beautiful gift from herbalism, from herbal medicine, is when you look at the world around you. I bike to work in the morning, and I look at the ditches, and I don't see weeds there. I see food, medicine, companions, companion plants. Some plants are medicine for other plants, or for fungi, or for animals. And we all have a purpose to serve, you know. And this is maybe a bit more philosophical, but I found that in interacting with other beings, with these other beings, yes, it helps us to be, it reminds us of what it is to be human, and it reminds us of our job as human, you know, of our purpose in this world. And this also is plant medicine.
It takes you away from that self-centeredness, I think, that we, you know, it's not just me here. There's all of the earth here, and we just have to open our eyes. It's there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Comfort. Yes,
absolutely. I want to close soon. We've reached the 45-minute mark, and well, there's Bosco. Hi, Bosco. Thanks for joining us. He's a friend of mine from Qatar, and right now in Qatar it's almost 9 o'clock at night. So thanks for tuning in, Bosco. I wanted to ask you before we sign off, that you're practicing in Wolfville, and I wanted you to share a couple of things. I want to let us know how people can contact you, but I was looking at when I Googled you, I saw that you were involved in a conference coming up this summer, and I wanted you to share a little bit about what that's all about, and then share the details of how someone can get in touch with you if they have any questions or they want to book an appointment.
Perfect. So the conference that I co-founded and organized now for 5 years is called Medicine of the People. It's the largest gathering in Eastern Canada, the largest herbal gathering in Eastern Canada. We welcome every year speakers from different fields that have a connection with herbal medicine. So we have medical doctors, naturopaths, herbalists, anthropologists, ethnobotanists who come and give presentation or take us in the woods on different topics. So this is happening again this August. Fingers crossed that we'll be able to do that. We are blessed to have beautiful Mi'kmaq presence every year as well. So we start the conference with a circle and a blessing from Mi'kmaq elders, and the circle, and with a circle as well to give our blessings to Mother Earth. Yeah, it's always the highlight of my day in the conference. It fills my well. Pardon me?
Where is it?
It's at Gaspro Botanical Sanctuary, just on the mountain. I point there, on the mountain, on the South Mountain at, the Gaspro Botanical Sanctuary.
Oh, how lovely.
There will be lots of information on my Facebook page as the season develops, as the season goes. So anyone who wants to connect with me, you can reach me at Andreé-Anne Herbalist on Facebook. My website is andreanneherbalist.ca.
Okay.
Shall I spell that, or can we write? Okay, so Andreanne, Herbalist will be herbalist.ca. Yes, and all booking information is available there. I should mention that I think that herbal medicine is people's medicine and that it should be accessible to all. And so if financial, the financial aspect is a limitation to access my services or herbal medicine in general, please connect and we can see what we can do. Yeah.
Okay. I see I missed a question here from Olga, and she's saying, any advice for neuropathy?
Yeah, one of the plants that shines bright when thinking of neuropathy is Hypericum, St. John wort in oil, or in tea, as long as there is no medication interaction possibility there. But it's kind of our queen for the nerves. Lion's mane is another one that I've worked with for neuropathy. Depending of the person's specific presentation, we can explore other options as well. But just as a kind of this plant does that, I will say Hypericum.
Okay, and that was St. John's wort, you said?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the same plant, Hypericum or St. John's wort. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and lion's mane.
Yeah, in oil, the Hypericum in oil.
Okay.
St. John wort in oil. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your passion for your newfound profession. I'm so glad, so honored to have met you a little while ago, and I look forward to seeing you a lot more in the future. And perhaps maybe we can have another conversation live again when before the conference, perhaps, and you can tell us a bit more about how that's all going to go. And so thank you again for joining me today. And for the guest, again, my name is Janice Amiro, and I am the founder of Janice Inspiring Change Holistic Nutrition. If you have any questions for me, maybe you'd like to be a guest on the Thursday show, then please contact me at www.janiceinspiringchange.com, or you can send me a message on Facebook. And I'll sign off. Again, thank you, Andreé-Anne, and have a beautiful day, everyone, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.